But let's get you some more updates. What we're learning is that AK Antony's son has quit the Congress party, and that's the latest information coming in. Perhaps another setback for the Congress. Let me go across to my colleague Vivek over the phone line, who is joining us. Vivek, take us through all the details. What we're learning is AK Antony's son has quit the party.
Yes, this comes after his tweet and his statements yesterday, where he has been made his statement very, very clear as far as the BBC documentary issue is concerned. Remember, for the first time, a member of the Congress party, and that too the son of a very senior leader who was a former chief minister, has made his stand very clear, which was diametrically opposite to the stand of the Congress party and also the Youth Congress, where he said that a foreign news channel or a media, cannot control what is happening in India. And he also said that even though he criticizes whatever happened in the 2002 riots, but he also questioned how can a media house which is operating in UK, come out with a documentary and question the Supreme Court of India. Remember, he also said that the Supreme Court has rejected the allegations, but the BBC documentary has, given a different spin. But this has been questioned by all Congress leaders, especially, the senior Congress leaders in Kerala. And he has clearly been on a back foot yesterday, right from afternoon itself, when he has put that tweet. And following which, this tweet today coming that he is leaving the party is something that has come as a huge embarrassment for Congress party. Remember, he was, a very prominent face during the 2019 elections. Even though he was not there in the campaigning, he was the digital, he was holding the public relations, wing of the Congress party. And also, he was very active during the 2019 Lok Sabha polls in Kerala. And now this decision of quitting the party is something which has come as a huge embarrassment for the party, and we are yet to know as what exactly has led to his decision. All these things now Anil Antony has to explain.
Another instance of dissent growing within the Congress, and he also said, Vivek, that he is not going to delete the tweet or offer an apology. All he said was that an external agency like the BBC should not overrule the apex court in the country. That was the tweet that was put up by Anil Antony over the BBC documentary Rao, wherein his views did not match with the party's stand. But also, Vivek, since he has now quit, this is of course going to send more ripples in the Congress in the state of Kerala.
Absolutely. This is, going to send ripples, in the state of Kerala, which is already where you have factionalism that is, there prevailing in the state of Kerala, especially in the Kerala Congress, where you have the Congress I group on one side, and you also have Shashi Tharoor coming with his own views and participation in various programs, and also aiming to be the next Chief Minister of Kerala. So in such a situation, the resignation of Anil Antony, and that to a very young phase of the Congress party, there needs to be a lot of questions that need to be answered by the state leadership especially. But even though Anil Antony, the son of AK Antony, even though he was, a very senior leader, most of his activities, political activities was, in Delhi. He very rarely used to come to Kerala. He comes to Kerala mostly during the time of the elections, especially during the campaigning. But, when it comes to Youth Congress and its activities, most of the time, he was active in Delhi and in other states.
Well, in a resignation letter, he also said that he has his own unique strengths which could have enabled him to contribute very effectively to the party in several ways. However, by now, I have made well aware that your colleagues around the leadership are only keen to work with a bunch of sycophants and chamchas who would unquestionably be at your beck and call. Well, first of all, listen in to what he had to say.
He is one of the master brains behind the propagation of the weapons of mass destruction theory in Iraq, and he is one of the master brains behind the Iraq invasion. And I have very, very differing views on that also. And when the same person is saying something on our country, I would be very cautious about that.
Interesting that you have mentioned that Jack Straw is the brain behind the Iraq war. Why I say that is because it is his testimony along with the report of the UK Foreign Office from 2002 that is being quoted by most as gospel. Why do you think that Jack Straw shouldn't be taken at face value?
So it is as clear as daylight. Like, end of the day, like, he is one of the brains behind the propagation of the weapons of mass destruction theory in Iraq, and he is one of the master brains behind the Iraq invasion. And I have very, very differing views on that also. And that is an incident that has actually created tremendous damage to many people, millions of people in Iraq. And when the same person is saying something on our country, like, I would be very cautious about that.
What do you make of the fact that it took 20 years for this documentary and this so-called secret report based on a diplomatic cable to suddenly emerge?
See, that is something which you need to ask BBC. It is not something which I would be able to answer in any manner. Like, end of the day, my tweet was something which is very simple, which was actually based on my beliefs on the country's core national interest, which is where our sovereignty is one of the primary aspects of it. And I do not want our internal differences to ever compromise that. We are at the 75th year of our independence, and this is proudly the year where we actually have surpassed Great Britain as the 5th largest economy. And we actually have a huge, and this is a country with we have a very checkered history. You go back 250, 300 years back, and it was again internal bickerings and differences between many of these local rulers and kingdoms which the East India Company exploited to actually start the colonial rule in India. And 300 years back, we shouldn't let our internal differences ever be used to actually subjugate our core national interests, which is my fundamental belief. Is what I expressed in that particular tweet.
That's a very important point that you're making. What do you say to those who are saying that, we will screen this documentary irrespective of a ban because it's about freedom of expression? Is this about freedom of expression or a possible underhand attempt to...
Antony is concerned. What are your first views? Because what he has to clearly say is that there is no space of dissent within the Congress party.
Well, I've known Anil for quite some time, and he's taken a view, and in his wisdom, he has decided what he has decided. And apparently, this is a view that is...
All right, Mr. Varakan, apologies for interrupting in between because Anil Antony is himself over the phone line. Mr. Antony, you have come forward giving up your resignation and also saying and claiming that there is no space left for dissent within the Congress party. Take us to what exactly, prompted you to perhaps resign from the party. Mr. Antony.
Yes. Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. What prompted you from giving your resignation from the party? Because, yes, we went through your letter as well. You also have to say that there is no space left for dissent within the Congress.
See, end of the day, a lot of things had been boiling over for a while. I just submitted my resignation a few minutes back, I would say half an hour back, and I think it is too early to elaborate. But something that happened yesterday did play a major role, where early in the morning, I did make a tweet, and it was a very innocuous, well-intentioned tweet, I would say, where I made a certain point. And the point was that, of course, me and the BJP has a lot of political differences, but at the same time, when it comes to certain things, especially certain things that comes to that is linked to our country's core interests, especially something as important as sovereignty. I don't think we should compromise on that, and that is not the area to play politics. So that is what I said in the tweet. And then the next few hours, you had a lot of prompting from across the corners, which wanted me to retract. And I said that I don't think I have said anything wrong, nor even something against the party's interest, nor stance to actually, retract or apologize or anything like that, and I just left it at like that. And then after that, the response that I saw, especially from somebody who come from a family whose my dad has been in the party for almost 6 decades. I come from such a background, and then despite all that, the response had been malicious as well as, I would say, hateful, where from 8 p.m. I am having, dozens of calls and text messages and threatening messages. My Facebook wall is fully filled with hate messages and threats and abuses. I know exactly where it is coming from. I am naming people at this moment. But if this is the kind of organization that it has evolved into, you say that this stands for free speech. But this is not free speech. This is something else, or you stand for love. This is not love. This is pure hatred. And
But post your tweet in the past 24 hours, did the party leadership try to contact you, or was there any kind of pressure that was being built? Because in your letter, you have also said that your colleagues around the leadership are only keen to work with a bunch of psychophants and chamchas who would unquestionably be at your beck and call.
yeah, of course, there were calls. Like I said, like our conversations. Like we do have a lot of personal relationships still with some of.
All right, seems like we just lost the connection there, but that was Anil Antony himself saying.
At some time, he's a person of independent thinking, and he has a view, and I respect him for that view. And I think what he said is the home truth. The reality that, I mean, after his father's so many years of service, I mean, a tweet has created such a problem for the Congress party that they have started putting pressure on him and what have you. It's not on. I mean, they talk about freedom of speech, but they don't give that freedom of speech to their own party members. It's a shame on this party. They do not read the writing on the wall. This generational change that is coming about is something that Rahul Gandhi must understand.
Yes.
He's a 50-year-old man, and he should understand that there are views that each
Well,
party
Mr. Varakan, that
has.
is surely coming in as a setback for the Congress party. But there is one leader who has drawn a line when it comes to compromising on national interest and integrity. Well, thank you, Mr. Varakan, for joining in.